Hello, Karen here. I'm here to show you how to make an L shape with your frame punches. I will be using the Snowflake Frame punch to make a layout similar to this. I will be using more cardstock than designer paper just to have a better visual for you. So let me get it for you. I have started it and made one side, and I will show you how I make the second side. This layout is inspired by a project recipe that Creative Memories made called Out of This World, but I changed it just a little bit and I'm using a different frame punch than it used. So I used one sheet of paper, designer paper, for the base for each side, and then I've chosen light blue and rich brown cardstock. So I will start with making the frame. So this is a frame punch. It's very similar to a regular border punch. The difference is the frame punch can take corners, showed on the example here. You can make frames, you can take corners with it, but this video is just going to show you how to make an L-shaped corner. So other than normally with a border punch, you start with the little guide notches right here. That's where you put your paper to start. But with these type of punches, there's a silver line on the side, and that's where you're going to start. So I'll take my cardstock and I will line it up to the silver line on the punch right here. Always taking care to make sure that your paper or cardstock is flush against different words, wings, guide, whatever you want to call them. So I will make sure that it's flush there and right on the silver line, and then punch with my palm. So I have my first punch, and then what I'm going to do, because I want them to be the same on both sides, I'm going to take my paper and I'm going to flip it over like so. And I'm going to do the exact same thing once again. If I was doing a completed frame, I wouldn't do it this way. I would just keep going in the direction I was going. Okay. So it gives you a nice corner right here. An example on my layout here, the first time I did it, I did not flip it over. So this is the look it gave. It's a little more jumbled. It's not quite exact. Whereas on this one, I did that technique where I flipped it over and I have a nice exact corner. So it's really whatever your preference is and how you'd like it to look. So now that I have my corner done, now all I'm doing is punching like a regular border punch. So I'm going to slide this in and I'm going to line up against the guide, and I'm also going to make sure I cover right where the image is here. That's how I know where to cut. It's in the right place. And I'm going to continue to do this all the way down. Being careful to always line it up. You can see I'm lining it up on here now. I'm not worried about that silver line. I'm worried about the snowflake image that I am copying, that I'm covering up. Okay, so that is done. You can see it's kind of left off in a weird spot, but that's just because of the way that we're doing it. We're not taking a corner there. If it was just a straight border, it wouldn't have done that. So now I'm going to flip it over. And I'm going to do it again. I'm going to go across and finish up my border on this side. And this punch is nice because it leaves lots of bits and pieces after you've punched that you can use in your layouts. So this is all the scrap bits and pieces, and you'll see that there's lots of snowflakes that you can use in your layout. So now we have our L shape for our other side. I'm going to take my 12-inch trimmer and I'm going to cut it so the snowflake border is at the top and to the right. So I'm going to push it all the way to the top, and I'm going to cut it at 1.5 inches. Now, how I'm going to do that, I mean, it can be a little awkward to cut when it's not a flat side that you're putting up there, but I'm really taking care to make sure the widest point of this image is at 1.5 inches all the way down, and just making sure this is pushed all the way up. I am going to cut at 1.5 inches, and then I'm going to bring it all the way down. And I'm going to do the exact same thing on this side. I'm going to line this up to 1.5 inches. This is all the way to the top. I'm going to cut all the way down, starting at 1.5 inches. So then I have this block to come out, and this is what I'll cut mats with. And I'm going to put this aside. I'm going to take my rich brown paper. I'm going to cut 2 strips that are 1.5 inches wide. So they'd be 1.5 inches by 12. Okay. So I have these 2 pieces. So what this is going to do, let me show you real quick, is this is going to be the borders on the left side and the bottom. You can see just like how I did on here. And then I'm going to put this here so you can have a nice layout. Now I'm going to show you something that I did. You can choose to take these and just crisscross them and put them down, but I like it to look nice, and I wanted to give it a beveled edge. So I'm going to just show you real quickly how I made a beveled edge. You take your 2 pieces, and because they're cardstock, which is the same on both sides, it doesn't matter how it is. If you were using designer paper, you would have to have one side up and the other side up on the other one. You need them to be opposite when you cut them. Make sure they're together really well. If you're not good at that, you can do one at a time, but I like to do them together if I can. Make sure the point is right at the cutting guide, and then the rest of the strip is along the 45-degree line that's on your trimmer. This is, of course, if you have the Creative Memories trimmer, the 45-degree angle is right there for you, so it's really easy. So then I'm going to take my time and just cut up, having a nice clean point. And so then when I put this down and then this down, I have a nice beveled edge, and it looks fantastic. So I'm going to put this on with my repositionable tape, just in case something doesn't go the way I wanted. I don't want to ruin my paper. This is one. And then okay, and that looks really good. So then I'm going to take my L shape punch, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to take my repositionable tape, and I'm going to go. Now I usually do this on something so I don't make a mess of my table, but sometimes I don't heed my own advice Careful to do the little ends there. And what you're going to notice when you do this is if I was to lay this, I'll show you this way. If I was to lay this down right against the line of the rich chocolate, the rich brown paper, you can see that it doesn't go all the way to the left. It doesn't go all the way to the top. So what you're going to do is you're going to move it in, kind of move it into the corner, being level until both ends touch. So it is going to cover the edge there. So I put this here, and then I'm just going to kind of move it in so it's where I want it. Now you can kind of lightly tap it down with the repositionable tape to make sure you like where it is, and then you can kind of push it down. So this looks great. So that is your basic double page layout using that L shape technique with the frame punches. So then what I would do is I would just take my extra cardstock, I would put some mats down, and then I'll have a finished layout like this one. So thanks for watching. Bye.